Hello, my name is Maggie Fortenberry, and I will be debating that the Chrysoperla rufilibris, commonly known as the green lacewing, is more beneficial than the honeybee.
Hello, my name is Sarah Whang, and I'll be debating that the Apis mellifera, commonly known as the honeybee, is more beneficial than the green lacewing.
Our debate is centered on whether the green lacewing or the honeybee is more beneficial. The green lacewing is a small, light green insect at about 3/4 of an inch long with a small, delicate body. Its wings, its most notable feature, are thin and delicate and appear to be made of lace. They have 4 stages: egg, larvae, pupae, and adults. The larvae of the green lacewing provide the most beneficial part of the insect. At 1/2 inch long, it is and looks like a mini alligator. Their most important impact on society is that their larvae rid crops and plants of aphid pests. The larva is heavily carnivorous and eats 200 aphids or other insect-like beetles a day. The adult insect also takes care of aphids. One unique characteristic is that they lay their eggs on tiny, hair-like stems that are attached to a leaf. The eggs then seem to suspend in thin air above the leaf. This is to minimize cannibalism of the eggs by other larvae.
Honeybees are oval and are about 15 millimeters long. They are light brown in color and have light and dark stripes. They have a stinger to defend themselves against predators. They go through complete metamorphosis and develop through the life stages of egg, larva, pupa, and adult. They're an insect with a social structure with a single reproductive queen, male drones, and worker bees or non-reproductive female bees. Each life stage in their life cycle has a certain task that they are assigned to do. This structure helps to maintain order within their colony and be able to reproduce and work efficiently. Honeybees produce and store honey and create large nests using wax. Honeybees are important for pollination in many different plants. They are the largest and most important pollinators in crops and non-crops. Through pollination, they help to make the crops look and taste better, as well as increase the amount of crops grown. Honeybees also help pollinate wildlife and increase biodiversity by interacting with many organisms. Honeybees have been sought out since the beginning of recorded human history. In the past, people would use the bees' honey and wax for many uses. The production of honey and wax is beneficial to humans as we use them for food, medicine, and many other products.
The green lacewing is a very underrated insect in comparison to the honeybee. Both larvae and its adult forms are beneficial. The lacewing rids plants and crops of aphid pests. In temperate regions, the aphid pest is the most destructive to crops and plants. Although the honeybee does provide a service as it pollinates plants, without the green lacewing, the honeybee's work would be all for naught. Imagine if the lacewing was not in existence then. To do this, picture the honeybee as a man who builds millions of dollars worth of equipment. He puts it into a storage building, but he does not put in place a security system. This is the green lacewing in this example, or security guard to watch over the equipment. By no surprise, the equipment is stolen. However, if that security system had been put into place, the robbers would not have had such an easy opportunity to steal the equipment. Thinking these terms then, when you think of the relation between the honeybee and the lacewing, the honeybee pollinates crops and plants, flourish, and the lacewing drops in and protects the crops from harm and disease. That is why the lacewing is more beneficial. It protects what has already been produced. It defends against a predator that is already as strong as it can be. Without the lacewing, there might be greater consequences of the aphids that we do not even realize. The green lacewing then becomes the all-important security system for the food we eat and the plants that give us oxygen.
Without honeybees, there would not be any crops for the green lacewing to defend. There are more honeybees than any other type of pollinating insects, so they are the most important insect for pollinating and producing crops. About 1/3 of the food we consume every day is a product of pollination by mainly bees. Around 80% of the US crops are dependent on honeybees. If honeybees were to stop being part of their central role, the number of crops and food produced would drop exponentially. Since there would be barely any crops left, the role of the green lacewing is minimized. They won't be able to make a large difference in destroying aphids, since the number of aphids will also decrease if there are no crops for them to eat. The honeybee is not only beneficial for humans because they pollinate crops that we can eat, but also beneficial to the whole area of pollination because of the increased biodiversity. Green lacewings are used to deal with crop pests, but there are other methods of dealing with those pests. Some of those methods include insecticides, beneficial viruses, genetic resistance, and parasitoids. Green lacewings are helpful in dealing with pests, but they are just one of the many methods. Honeybees are the main pollinators of plants and crops, and there's no efficient or beneficial way to get rid of them or replace them easily. Honeybees are beneficial in that they support the ecosystem and the economy.
That is not the point, however. My original point was in accordance with both the honeybee and the lacewing's existence. I acknowledge the importance of the honeybee, but want to make it clear that the lacewing's job highly outweighs the honeybee's. The aphid alone can destroy up to 25% of a single crop. That is with the protection of the lacewing. However, if we do not consider the extinction of the honeybee, then we do not need to remember that there are still crops to protect. Instead of minimizing their role, it might just maximize it. They now have a greater responsibility over a smaller amount of crops and plants. There will still be aphids even if their numbers have decreased, and they will be attacking plants even without the honeybee's pollination. So the role of the lacewing will still be important, if not more so. The lacewing not only protects plants, but it also protects the honeybee. Part of a lacewing's diet includes mites and the varroa parasite. The varroa is one of the most dangerous and destructive pests to a honeybee colony. The pest can only reproduce in hives, and when it is an adult, it sucks on a bee host's fat, either killing the bee or sometimes transferring a virus which it will carry on to other bees. Colony collapse is the immediate reaction to this parasite, and since the year 2006, 10 million beehives have collapsed. The lacewing then saves the honeybee from total extinction as it eats the varroa parasite.
The green lacewing does in fact help honeybees and crop yield by eating harmful parasites, but green lacewings are only beneficial in that they target parasites only on crops. However, honeybees do much more than just dealing with and pollinating crops. Honeybees are also the world's key pollinator of non-crop plants. This includes things such as your everyday flowers to wild non-agricultural systems. They help keep the wildlife flourishing and to increase biodiversity by spreading pollen. In San Diego, California, honeybees are not a native species. However, they are responsible for 75% of the pollination of native plants. Honeybees not only help humans by pollinating crops to be eaten for food, but also by pollinating wildlife to make the land around us more aesthetically pleasing. Honeybees also produce honey and wax from pollen, which are both extremely helpful and beneficial to humans. Beeswax can be used for many things, including weather resisting, waterproofing, lip balms, hand creams, moisturizers, hair products, candles, and medications. Since beeswax is produced naturally without additional harmful chemicals, many consumers seek out products with beeswax. Another product bees produce is honey. Honey has uses such as a food product, medicinal treatments, vitamins, skin products, and much more. Beeswax and honey are important products that benefit humans in many different areas, from our economy to our health.
Green lacewings are an essential part of nature, and without their vital actions, we would be without crops that feed us and plants that produce oxygen. We'd also be in great fear of losing the honeybee. The lacewing works from larva till death to rid plants of aphid pests that destroy and kill crops at great magnitudes. The lacewing also eats mites, including the varroa parasite, which was one of the greatest predators of the honeybee, thus ensuring that the pollination of plants could continue. The lacewing does a lot to protect our food and pollinators, even if it is only part of their nature. These small actions, their diet, simply take care of the planet by protecting plants and honeybees. The lacewing is an essential insect to research because it does protect the honeybee and plants. We must look into their eating habits and how we could possibly aid them in how much they eat. If researchers could find a way to maximize their eating while also maximizing their ability to find the pests, then the impact of varroa and aphids might weaken, saving more plants and bees.
Honeybees provide extensive benefits such as pollinating crops to produce food we can eat, pollinating the nature around us to keep things beautiful, and producing honey and beeswax that we use in many different ways. Honeybees are responsible for pollinating a large amount of crops that we consume. Their wax and honey is also beneficial to us for our health and economic profit. Honeybees are used in research to study how parasites such as the Varroa destructor are affecting them and how to overcome these parasites in order to have bee colonies successfully pollinating crops and non-crops. Honeybees are important to study because they play such a large role in producing food and other products that we use and consume on a daily basis. Without studying honeybees, we won't be able to find better solutions to deal with parasites to honeybees such as the Varroa destructor. This could lead to the death and mass extinction of honeybees. However, by continuing to study them, solutions can be found to stop the honeybee from going extinct so we can continue to have crops and other products from the bees. They are important to study because they play such a large role in our ecosystem. We need to study honeybees in order to learn about how to care for them. No other insects have as large of an impact as honeybees do on humans and the ecosystem.